Hey guys, how y'all doing? Today's the magical day. That's right. We get to see the Farm Sim 25 cinematic trailer. I want to give a shout out to Giants and thank them for sending me the cinematic trailer so I could share with you guys. Also, I can use my special Asperger's brain to be able to break it down and tell you what I think Giants is trying to tell us. And then after we do that, I will also talk about the information that was posted in the blog. And we'll talk about that too. So let's watch the video and then I'll come back and I'll tell you what it is that I saw along the way.
Rated E for everyone.
All around the world, farmers know farming is an art. Like life, we know it can be hard. And it can be surprising, too. But sometimes it's about being at the right place at the right time. A wise man once said that the best lessons are learned under the wide open sky. I think the same thing can be said about our art. Yeah, it can be messy, but it's always beautiful. So beautiful it can help you see yourself and the world in all new ways. In the art of farming, the soil is the canvas, the seeds are the paint, and the harvest is the masterpiece.
Hey, this is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty darn good. Is it missing something? You're too cute to eat. Maybe some fresh spinach for a change?
I'm not going to lie. That was super cool and amazing. I enjoyed that trailer. A lot of things that were in the trailer that stuck out in my mind, but let's break it down. One, rice. As I predicted, we were getting rice, and we are getting rice. So let's talk about rice for a second. There's a couple of different things, a couple of things that people don't know about rice, and there's two ways of growing rice. You can grow it either wet, which is in a bog, or you can grow it dry. Right? You can grow it not in a rice paddy field. What they showed is a rice paddy field. And when you do a rice paddy field, there's a couple of things that you have to do. When you're growing a rice paddy field, there's a couple of things you have to do. And I do have experience with this, believe this or not. I lived in the Philippines for a while. My family actually owned a rice field and a fish pond. So let's talk about this. What you have to do is, it's not like putting a seed in the ground like other crops. You actually have to make a seedling out of it, which basically means that you take a seed and you put it in a temporary thing and you nurture it and you wait till it grows to a certain point. It gets a stalk on it about yay big, right? About 6 to 8 inches roughly of a sprout that's sticking out. And this is important because when you put it in the bog and you transfer it, you're not planting it, you're transferring it. So actually the machine that they showed you isn't a rice planter, it's a transplanter, right? It's transplanting it from the holding container and it's partially grown into So it's a different thing that's never been done with Farm Sim. And hey, I'm super stoked about it. But the reason why you had to transplant it is because a certain percentage of it has to be above water level for two main reasons. One, oxygen. Two, sunlight. The two things that it needs to grow. So it did show that in there. So I'm stoked because here's the thing. It's like, okay, obviously we'll be able to buy the seedlings, saplings, however you want to call it, from the store. However, what if we have the ability to grow them in the greenhouse, right? That we get a special greenhouse that we bring seeds and fertilizer to, and we can make our own saplings instead of buying it from a store. Now, it didn't show it. However, we have the ability to do it. It would be cool. I'm actually put it on the board. It's a prediction. All right. Second of all, it showed the water bogs, right? So it showed them going home, and they made the water bogs themselves. And what it is, it's a land mass, right? So X amount is so high. In real life, you would use like machinery and stuff like that to make the berms to hold the water in. Now, I stopped and I thought about this for a minute, and I said, all right, are they going to make it relying on the map makers to where the map makers will determine where these things are and we won't have the ability to make them ourselves? And I'm just like going, they could do that, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. What I think they're going to do is they're going to use the same technology that you use for grapes and olives and fences. And basically it's going to be a placeable of a berm that you put down, and then you stretch it out like you would do a fence for grapes and olives. And then you would click a button, and then poof, a berm would show up in that area and you'd be charged for it. Unfortunately, I don't think that we're going to get machinery that allows us to create it that way. But based on what the engine is and my experience in the game, I feel like that if I was a developer, that's exactly the way I would do it. So there's prediction number 2, right? That the berms are going to work on the click and drag technology of fences. Then they showed putting water in there, right? It basically, we could use the system of pumps and hoses to get the water into there and flood the field. And I think it's a cool mechanic. I believe what will happen is there'll be like a placeable well or spout that you hook up to hit the generator and drag the hose to the generator, and it spits the water out, and it'll be like an underground tank is the way that I think that they're going to do that. So there's prediction number 3. I don't know if that's how they're going to do it or not. That's how I would do it. Now, how you would unflood the field, I don't know. I don't know if it'll slowly evaporate over time and they'll do something with the water table that way. I also don't know if irrigation, right? Irrigation is going to work on all crops, right? I don't believe that we're going to have to keep track of a moisture level and we'll be able to enhance it or over water our crops. I just think it's going to be the ability to make a water plane in our bogs. And I don't think it'll be anything more than that. I don't think that it will have anything to do with fertilizing it. I just think it's just going to be a plane that's going to be in there that you'll be able to fill and drain when you need to. But on the other hand, because it's in the base game, that means modders will have access to it from day one, which means, hey, we could get cranberry bogs, and who knows, if someone can get creative enough, we can get crawdads or crayfish, right? as a new animal husbandry type, or fish pond out of it. I don't know, but the modders are going to do something with it. But I'm telling you what I think, what I got out of this. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get irrigation out of our crops for that. But, you know, now the other thing is the water buffalo. The water buffalo is something that's cool. And if you don't know what a water buffalo is, or if you don't know what a water buffalo is, or a carabao, that they call them in the Philippines, it's part of the bovine family, or cow. It's a cousin of the cow, and it acts like a cow. And actually, in rice fields, you can hook them up to plows, and they'll plow, and you can hook them up to carts, and you can take your rice to the market and all this other stuff. You can treat them like oxen, basically. Do I believe that's what's going to happen in the game? No, right? I think that we're going to be able to feed them. We'll get dairy products out of them. I would love to be able to see, get meat out of them, but and hide, but that's not going to happen either. And that's something that modders will have to do. But I do believe that we will be able to grow bison, and that'll be a thing. At the end of the trailer, you saw birds flying in the air. If you were paying attention, those are storks. Storks are very prevalent in rice fields. And basically the reason why they're prevalent there is there's plenty of stuff for them to eat, and they're scavengers. They look cute. They're rats with wings, basically. And I don't think it's an animal that will be able to grow. I think it's going to be more along the lines of the deer and the crow in the fields, that it's going to be a fixture. Makes the world feel alive, and when you get close to it, they just scatter off, right? I don't think we're going to be able to grow them. However, there is a cool mechanic about rice farming that most people don't know. And the mechanic is weeding and dealing with insects, right? So weeds are an issue in rice ponds because of the fact that they're in water, and you really can't weed it like you do in other farms. So the way that in the Orient they get away around it is they release ducks on the rice fields, and ducks will eat all the weeds and all the insects that would hurt that rice product. But what they don't eat is the plant itself. Those little buggers just go out and they eat everything. And of course, when you release an animal into a pond, right, and it eats everything, it also poops, which adds to the fertilizer. And it's part of this whole, green farming thing. Do I think it's a thing that will be in the game? I think there's a possibility it could be in the game, right? Sure, I'll go ahead and say prediction 4, but I may be wrong about that one. However, if it is a thing in the game, that also means that we're going to get pesticides and funguses too in 25. And more stuff to do in fields is a good thing. Like I said, I'm telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I think that they're trying to tell us based on the information that's going out there. So what else did they show us? They showed us the part where they were taking the picture, right? And everybody's like going, yo, we're getting photography in the game. I don't think we're getting photography in the game. I think it's what they were taking the picture of that was more important. If you stop and you go back and you look at the video and you're careful about it, you'll notice right as she clicks the picture, you can see into the distance, right? Bad weather coming in. And it goes from there to them sitting on the bench stop. All right. Well, I'm going to tell you what that was. If you've ever lived in the Orient, there's these things called monsoons, right? Monsoon means raining really hard for a long period of time. I don't know if that's what it translates to, but that's what it feels like. I've been exposed to them and I've lived in them. And yes, it's a torrential downpour of rain for a long period of time, and it floods everything. And the reason why I think this is important is if you listen to the dialogue of what's talking, and it says nature tells us stuff. And while this is going on and they decide, hey, we're going to take this back home to grow rice and make a living out of this, I believe weather there's my prediction. Weather is going to be in 25, and it's going to affect the decisions that we do, right? It's going to, if somehow it's going to affect the crops, the yields of the crops and what we get out of it. Maybe it's good weather and it's beneficial. Maybe it's bad weather and it's not and it affects our yields. You may be saying, "Oh man, you fell off your rocker and hit your head." You might be right. I might have fell off my rocker and hit my head, but I'm telling you right now, I'm making a prediction on this, right? If you looked at my Farm Sim 25 is going green video, I made a lot of predictions on there, and you're going to look at it and go, "Oh my God, he was right then." And people thought I was off my rocker then. You know, once again, I'll say this beard right here kind of reminds me of Nostradamus, and maybe I'm onto something. Or maybe I'm just flat out crazy and I'm out of touch with reality. Either way, if you agree with me, leave a comment. If you disagree with me, leave a comment. Okay, so I've talked about the rice. I talked about the carabao or the bison or the water buffalo or whatever you want to call it. I talked about the irrigation. I talked about the levees and the rice ponds of how that's going to go. There was a motorcycle in there. I believe it's an Italian brand motorcycle. Because it has a brand name on it, I do believe it'll be in the game. Why? I don't know. I don't know what motorcycles have to do with farming. I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't know. But I believe it's going to be in the game, and I'll predict that brand of motorcycle will be in the game. What we're going to do with it, who knows? I really don't know. I mean, okay, it's a thing. I hope we get more things than that, but it's a thing. Let's talk about spinach at the end. They talked about spinach. And I'm excited about that, but I'm a little weary. Right now, it's a coin flip in my head. It's a 50-50 of, is this actually going to be a crop that we can grow and cultivate and harvest in our fields? Or is this just going to be an additional type for our greenhouses? I really don't know, and I'm scared to take a side. Right? It's really, I can see them going either way about it. Inside of me, the pixel farmer's like, yes, right? It's gonna be a crop. But then when I stop and I think about it, I just like, this could be a greenhouse adding. And if it is, how am I going to feel about this? And I thought about it, and I'll tell you exactly how I feel about it. I would love for it to be a crop. However, if it's a greenhouse thing, I'm not going to cry and complain. It's still another way of making something that we can do something, and I'm excited about it, right? So, I'm not going to stop this on a down note. I got my fingers crossed that it is something that we could put in the ground. But in the back of my head, it's like it's going to be a greenhouse. And I really don't know which side to put it on. I could see it being on either side. And if you're forcing me to make a prediction, right? If you're forcing me to make a prediction, I have to go with, unfortunately, the greenhouses. On the other hand, I hope I'm wrong about this. All right, so that's everything that I saw. And there were a couple of little nods here and there, like I don't know if you guys saw the oil container on there when you were getting ready to start cooking. If you look at it, you'll notice that it's the same type of oil container that's on the production charts, which I thought it was a really neat nod. The bread kind of reminded me of the bread that you would see in the production charts too. So I was happy about that. The fact that I'm seeing the father and the daughter growing older and progressing through their farming simulator lives is super cool, because now they're kind of like mascots to me. And now it's like, all right, in the future, will there eventually get a point to where the daughter, the dad is too old to farm and she takes over and she gets married and then brings in, starts having kids and passes it down to the next generation, like how he passed it down to her. I know that has nothing to do with anything, but it's stuff that goes through my head. I don't know if you guys think about it or not. But all right, so I've said everything that I had to say. There is more information that'll be with the blog and stuff like that. And I will cover that in a different video about, hey, stuff about the platinum editions or limited editions and all other stuff. This is just for the video, guys. Also, the other thing is this is for PC, Mac, PS5, and whatever Xbox's version of the PS5 is. For you guys that are on older consoles, hey man, I'm sorry. But on the other hand, things move forward and eventually, things become obsolete. As much as I want to hold on to my cassette tapes and my 8-track tapes and my laser discs, they don't make them anymore. I'm sorry, right? It happens. I miss the days of using my CB radio too, but it's a thing. All right, I want to give a shout out to all the farmhands. Man, you guys are amazing. Thanks for the support. I couldn't ask for more. And if you want to be a farmhand, it's very inexpensive and I will appreciate it. And as always, happy farming.